Then moving forward, we have Jason Teal from Nova Farms and also the CTNAACP.
Jason is also not on. I see someone in the waiting room. Their name is just Jay, but I don't know if that's Jason Teal.
Let them in and we can ask.
Okay.
Also, since they're here and listening, we will be letting them speak for both they're both number 24 and 28, but they're gonna have one chance at the apple to testify for both accounts.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Mr. Teal?
Hey, how you doing? I had a little technical difficulty. Sorry for that.
No problem. We see you on here twice. You're number
Yeah,
24,
I
number
know. I don't think I'll
28.
have time to cover both in the 3 minutes, so I'll probably just stick to the cannabis topic for now. And then maybe we can circle back maybe later for the NAACP issue. But thank you for you guys' time, Senator Miller.
Excuse me, Mr. Till. I believe I had notified you that you cannot number 28. That was a mistake, and you only have to testify on one. And so
Okay.
you chose 23 when we spoke
Yes.
earlier.
Yes, that's fine. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I am testifying on. That's what I was clarifying. Thank you. So Senator Miller, Representative Felipe, and the members of the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus, thank you for allowing me to give my testimony regarding Connecticut Cannabis Social Equity Program. Once again, my name is Jason Teal. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, and I've secured 2 social equity cultivator licenses, allowing my companies to develop 250,000 square feet of cultivation space and 2 EJVs, which will be dispensaries. I'm the single largest shareholder and active in the operations of 2 large vertically integrated licenses, one who has paid the $3 million fee and the other who has not yet made the payment. So I'm well positioned to speak on the issues of social equity operators, the issues that we're all facing. You know, entrepreneurs in the communities that were targeted by the war on drugs had the least access to capital per the U.S. Small Business Administration. The historic limited access to capital that our community has struggled with creates an interesting dynamic when we're asked to pay a $3 million fee to the state while only being able to leverage 35% of the equity in our business. This fee is particularly interesting when, by definition, a social equity applicant has strict income limitations. A more common sense approach would be to allow social equity operators to finance a fee over several years, and for companies who have paid, grant them $1.5 million back as a revolving loan. I've spoken to some legislators who understand that this is a ridiculous conundrum, but voted for this because they were told that the revolving loan fund would give us access to the capital that would create balance. Unfortunately, this has not yet panned out. Building an indoor cultivation facility can cost upwards of $500 a square foot. There's a small pool of investors with the appetite to fund a $25 million project. They see the price per pound plummeting in neighboring states, and they're hesitant to participate in a funding model that requests a large amount of money with low return on equity and no control of the business. The reality of a massive capital investment combined with a historic limited access to capital makes an outdoor model of cultivation one of the most logical pathways to success. The investment in growing outside is a fraction of an indoor model and is better for the environment. Tweaking a minor oversight in a legislation that requires large farms to be located in a DIA census tract would help with supply issues and allow more businesses of color to get open. The current law essentially forces cultivators to find farms in areas where they do not exist. Another simple common sense approach would be to allow outdoor cultivators to site a farm in any town that has a DIA within its borders. Legislation that makes it nearly impossible for outdoor models to open only benefits protectionist operators who were not targeted by the war on drugs, nor are a representation of this caucus. Methodology that is practical and based in good judgment can solve many of the ailments to our social equity program. I'm happy to make myself and my team available to help work on a solution for our people in the Connecticut cannabis industry. I once again thank you for your time and appreciate you guys listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Teal. Any comments or questions from members? I'll just say very quickly, thank you and oh, Chairwoman Miller.
Thank you. So, Mr. Till, of course, we put legislation out and we have to come back and tweak it because the legislative intent is not being adhered to. And so when you say that the revolving fund loan concept is not working. That initiative is not working. That's concerning to me, because I thought that, you know, for those individuals who have been impacted by the war on drugs, you probably won't have the money that's needed, right? And so it made sense to me, and this is how I thought it was going to work, is that those individuals would be able to take a loan out and pay it back over time. It's a revolving fund. You get a loan and then you replenish the fund. And so you're telling me that that's not happening?
I mean, it's not really working right now. I don't know anyone who's received the money as of yet. And I think part of the problem is, you know, Jeannie Ray's office is super limited with staff, and also there's not a lot of money there. So when you look at, like, you know, you're capped at, like, you know, I think it's about $250,000 for a working credit, or 500,000 for like capital expenditures. If your project costs $25 million, and then you also have a $3 million fee to the state, if you only can get $250,000, that's not even a fraction of the $3 million fee. So it's just like a little bit of an imbalance. And I think that, you know, they were trying to make sure that, you know, as many people could get the money as possible. But I think that's another issue that has been created, because you're trying to spread the money out. So now you have, I think the money should have probably went to the cultivators first, because that's the first line, right, of the market, right? You know, you got to get the product up and running. And then probably the stores are probably the next most important thing, because the stores will generate the most amount of revenue to pay back into taxes, into, you know, that can go back into the communities and go back to the fund. But when you spread out to everyone and you allow, like, a delivery service driver whose entire business may only cost $200,000 to also be first in line, or you allow, you know, someone from the lottery who, you know, to be first in line, then it just creates a problem where, like, cultivators aren't really accessing the money that are, you know, that can help them. And then another thing is, like, you know, that $3 million is a steep hurdle. So you also have to pay the $3 million before you can even have the access. So I think there just needs to be some small tweaks that need to be made to the loan fund that could make it a little bit more, you know, that could help out a lot. But yeah, if the concept was, like, you know, that loan fund was going to help the $3 million, you know, Herculean fee, it's just not panning out.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Chair, when you finish, and if no one else has a question, there's another question I need to ask him about a bill that regarding his statement regarding the growing outside of the district. What is the DIA, right? Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you. Okay.
Go right ahead, because there's nobody else.
Oh, okay, good. So last year there was a bill. I was approached by you, and I was also approached by a female grower in New Haven. Talk about, you mentioned that you can't grow in the areas that they said that the law says you have to grow in, like the DIA area. So if you're in New Haven, I'll use Stanford. If you're in Stanford, if that's an area, and you're saying I can't grow there, can you explain that a little, please?
Yeah, so I think that what ended up happening was there was one point where outdoor was not like allowed. So I think that when the whole DIA concept came about, you guys are probably thinking of more indoor grows, keep it in the DIA to help with blight and things of that nature. Then outdoor got put into the law. So then I don't think that it was revisited that, wait a minute, putting an outdoor farm in New Haven doesn't make sense, because I need 40 acres. I need, like, a real farm. So, like, I don't think that was ever readdressed, and anyone ever went back and said, wait a minute, like, outdoor model, like, it's impossible for these guys to site a farm. So I think that was just some of the issues. And I mean, just Connecticut has so much great farmland that, you know, I don't even think that we need to stick to only DIAs, because, you know, I don't think it fundamentally changes anything, right? We have our workforce development plan that we still have to adhere to. We have our social equity plan that we still have to adhere to. And we can still, you know, and we can still give any kind of money back to a DIA zone. So I think there's two solutions that could easily be made happen. We either just allow only outdoor to cultivate anywhere, or at least just say outdoor. Or if you really do want to stick it to a DIA, just say at least allow an outdoor farm to site a farm anywhere with a DIA within its borders. So if you take Hamden, for instance, right? Hamden has some great farmland, but that's more towards the north part of Hamden, Chester, like near Chester and all those other areas, right? Now the DIA only skirts where New Haven is. So you're not going to find a DIA in Hamden right where that border of New Haven is. But if you go a little bit north in Hamden, you can find a bunch of DIAs. Norwich is another example. There's a bunch of land in Norwich, but the DIA is only in small pockets, and it's really only by census tract. So you could literally be across the street from a DIA and you don't qualify, and I can't site my farm there. So it's almost like saying what the drugs didn't go across the street like 20 years ago. So it's like, it's a little bit, it just creates a little bit of a difficult situation when we're trying to cite a farm because, these DIAs, they're more like, they're closer to like urban revitalization zones. That's what I would compare them to. And you just don't find, those large farmland areas in those type of zones.
Thank you. I was wondering if you would send any suggestions or recommendations you have to me so I can send them to our members.
I
Thank
will.
you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairwoman Walker.
Can you please tell me what a DIA is?
Disproportionate impacted area. So basically,
okay.
came up with the area that said,
Right.
I think it was 10% of unemployment. If an area had a disproportionate, like 10% of unemployment or a disproportionate drug arrest rate, then you would consider it a DIA. But you didn't make all of New Haven a DIA. You guys only made, that you had to follow the actual census tract. So, it's a small pocket of each city that has a little area where we can cite our business.
So as far as an area where you can grow marijuana in New Haven, it has to be in a DIA?
Correct. It has to be in a DIA. And to do outdoor, I need 40 acres. So and we do that to be respectful, right?
And a
We
mule.
use about 8 to 10 operational acres, but we want 40 so we could put our 8 to 10 in the middle of 40 and we don't have to bother anybody, right? So we're trying to be considerate with trying to grab 40 acres so we can, we can operate, but we need 10. And even finding 10 acres of farmland in New Haven is probably like impossible.
Jason, I'm gonna support what Senator Miller just asked. If you have recommendation on how we can help you on a bill, it would be really helpful if you give us some language that we could work on for addressing the DIA, especially because that is insane. I mean, we don't have enough. We don't have that much land, period, in New Haven. We can't even build houses in New Haven. So I mean, that's very deliberate, and I think that's wrong. So we need to fix that.
I will. Thank you. I don't even know if, and I don't think it was done on purpose. I think it was like more of an oversight, but there was definitely like political power that bay that fought me. And it was tough because I'm like one of the only social equity guys that was on the Hill, like lobbying. So I was like by myself. And it was like the protectionists, the guys that don't look like any of us, they were fighting tooth and nail to say, oh no, keep it a DIA, keep it in the DIA. So it was very, very difficult. And it just didn't make any sense. And it was just a hard road to toe.
Jay, take it from me. It was done deliberately. It was another roadblock that they put in there. So, I mean, that's just that they wanted to slow the process down. So they did whatever they could to slow. And it sounded so logical. That's why everybody just said, "Oh yeah, that's that's the whole purpose is to address the disproportionate impact area." So, I mean, it sounds too logical. It was deliberate. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chairwoman Walker, I used to have that kind of optimism that Jay spoke with, and then I got elected. Chairwoman Miller.
Yes, I just want to make a point. I met Jason last session working on this issue, and when he explained to me what happened, there's definite inequity. And so I personally lobbied and I personally went to individuals, and he can tell you they were working behind the scenes. And I was told, go to this one and stopping it, go to this one and stopping it, and I was like a dog chasing my tail. And each person I talked to, they said, no, it's not me. No, it's not me. And no, it's not me. And so I just don't like how this issue, because there is a bill. But I don't like how it was treated. And it's, as he stated, there was some lobbying behind the scenes where they wouldn't bring it to the floor. So I know what he's saying when he says the powers that be, there were some strong lobbying against it. And so I think that this is something that we really do need to look at as a caucus. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to speak again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Jay, I'll say two things. One, I'm just going to triple down. Anything that you can send us in ways of making this better, please do so. But bonus points if you can do a Spider-Man meme with all the people that Chairwoman Miller was talking about, all pointing at each other. Appreciate you being with us, man.
Thank you, guys.
we're gonna move forward to